Welcome everybody to the Hoop Chat. The Hoop Chat. Excited about this topic right here, dog. Let's go.
I learned how to win in college.
Process, right?
Absolutely. Separate the men from the boys. It will separate the real from the fake. It will separate the committed from the uncommitted, who really loves the game and who really don't.
Your network equals your net worth. 25 years of experience.
Oh, man, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.
Yo, what is up? What is good, everybody, man? Welcome to another edition of the Hoop Chat. I'm your boy, I'm Coach Nelly.
And I'm Mars.
And we are your hosts for today. Once again, man, we got another exciting show for you guys. A lot of good topics. But first, how was your week, bro?
It was good, man. I had a good week. Some new opportunities are presenting themselves, which should, be confirmed this week. And, I'm just really excited about some new things that are happening for me. So, good week.
Nice. I got a couple shout outs. I know I've constantly been talking about a player of mine, Grace Spears. Last week, she had the opportunity to play with the Philly Bells in a tournament, and she played really well. And she actually got called up to play on the EYBL team. So big shout out to her.
Congrats.
Big shout out to her. She works hard, man. She's a hard worker, and that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely.
Got to give a shout out to my little cuz Saeed.
Oh man, he's balling right now.
He had a monstrous game yesterday, 28, 9 and 9. On the verge of a triple double. He's out there in Germany hooping. So big shout out to little cuz. Keep balling, man. Keep making us proud here, man. Keep striving for greatness. And then, I gotta give a shout out to my boy Frank Turner. He just played his first game and he put up monstrous numbers too.
24 and 11.
24 and 11. So, and I've been joking around with him. Me and him got a little bet going on. And I told him he got to be in that 90, 50, 40 club this year or he owed me dinner. So, first game so far, he on that path, man. He was 2 for 2 from 3. Shot the ball well. I think he was like 7 for 8 from the field.
Right.
Played extremely well. And most importantly, both those players were able to, get wins for their respective teams.
Right.
So shout out to both of y'all, man. Both of y'all from the area. We got a lot of people looking up to both of them. So we salute you. We're proud of you. Keep doing big things.
Yes, sir. I second that, man. Very proud of y'all, gentlemen, man. Keep putting on.
That's it. What we jumping into first, man?
Well,
so what you want to talk about
NBA
first?
is back, bruh. I mean,
NBA is back.
Yeah, that's a quick turnaround for the Cats that was in the finals. But
Right.
What do you think about that? What do you think we'll see with the season kind of starting relatively quickly? What do you think we'll see?
Right. So I think you'll get, especially the players that were in the bubble, players that went far in the playoffs, you might see them take some games off and some times off earlier in the season, just because of the quick turnaround. Especially, I know we talked about it last week, just how the bubble was set up in that AAU style of playing every other day and, putting a lot of miles and a lot of beating on the body.
Right.
So I think you'll see not a lot, but you'll see some of those guys sit games out, especially after reading how they're going to set up the season. It's 72 games, and the way they're making it seem is like, when they travel, it's going to be series of games. You might go to Atlanta and you play Atlanta 3 times in a specific period. So you'll definitely see guys sit. Some of the superstars might not play the back-to-back. Kind kind of the load management, but it's kind of needed because protecting, your investments, and these teams are protecting their investments, and not having these guys get injured
Right.
early in the year.
Right. I mean, I think for me, it was going to happen. I can't see. Not everybody is making $205 million. $34 million. And there's guys who took a hit through the coronavirus,
Right.
And what it does is it puts it, and it should have put things in perspective for some players in terms of their fiscal responsibility and living within their means. But to lose $1 billion, I mean, that's crazy. And I do want to commend them because they could have stayed steadfast with it. But I think that, there is a humanistic component to the fact that people are going to need these jobs for these organizations. Like in order to pay salaries, like you have to have the stands, merchandise, these different revenue generating categories for you to be able to, facilitate some of the player salary, right? And then you also have the construct or contract of the media, with the TV outlets being, ESPN and TNT, and they're paying large money to give open slots to them to fill to increase viewers. You know what I mean? So them paying so much to the NBA, that's another salary area that would be distributed to the players. So I think it's business wins at the end of the day. I think that what I would caution players, man, because the body does need time to rest. The body does need time to readjust to what's going to be, required. And the thing about it with basketball is it's just like, the level, these are 450 of the greatest players in the world. There isn't a slack. You can't slack. Like, you know what I mean? So there isn't, when people think that they are, it's just you're witnessing the person who can do this that nobody else can do. Literally. Right. So I just caution players to really take care of themselves, man, and do what their body is telling them to do and not worry about what tabloids or writers will say, because your best ability is availability. You want to be able to make it through your season, especially if you're on a contending team where you're playing meaningful minutes and for a meaningful situation, right? But I do like the concept, man. I love the idea of allowing little series that protects people with the coronavirus and stuff like that. But it also gives us an opportunity to see how hard it's going to be for teams to beat teams multiple times. Because it's one thing to catch a person on a Wednesday night, and beat them. But it's a whole other thing to say, all right, we're going to play Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Boom, 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 boom. And see if those teams can go 3-0 or 2-1. You know what I'm saying? Or 0-3. Teams go 0-3.
Right.
I think it's gonna make for a compelling thing for me. Selfishly, as a basketball fanatic, I will have my Christmas Day game. You know what I'm saying? So I'll be able to watch the Lakers and watch the Clippers because I'm pretty sure that that's what they're gonna roll out. You know what I mean? I'm sure we're going to see Denver. I'm sure we're going to see those teams that were, catalysts to win the championship. We'll see them reopen and revisit maybe some of those matchups and open the season. So I'm excited, man.
Absolutely, man. Again, as we are continuously moving toward unknown and uncharted waters with the virus, we don't know what's going to happen. It's just interesting to see how all sports, but particularly the NBA, is evolving and changing to make things happen to continue. Right.
With player safety too in mind.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, man, as a basketball fanatic, I'm excited that basketball will be back. And we're gonna get kinda of a normal NBA season, as close as we can get, with 72 games. But just to top off what you said, like some of these players really got to take care of their bodies now. This is important because, you know, your body's like a machine. So if you're used to getting those 3-4 months off for the
Right.
last 5-6 years, and now all of a
Right.
sudden it's only 2 months, you know, like you gotta pay attention to those things,
Word
you
up.
know, and listen to your body and not try to like this might be the time where you're not trying to push through injuries and just say, hey, listen, man, I gotta get healthy.
Right.
You know, I get healthy, I'll come back, and then I'll be able to assist and help my team.
For sure.
So
I agree.
let me ask you this question, man, because there's been things floating around as in terms of people that want to be traded, you know, might be traded, guys want to stay. So there's rumors that, you know, Miami Heat might go after Paul George. What you think about that?
It's gonna stifle Tyler Hero, or they might have to unload Tyler Hero.
They've already said that they're not getting rid of Tyler Hero. Like, he's going to be a piece that they're going to keep.
Okay. I'm not sure how that's going to entice other teams, because what pieces do those other teams, does the Heat have to offer that the other team that the Clippers are going to want? Unless it's draft picks, because the Clippers traded all their draft picks to get, you know, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. So, I mean, listen, man, I think it's going to be tough for Paul George, because one thing I find with Paul George in moments is, you know, he's very weak-minded, I think. I don't think he has the mental toughness, right? And I think you're walking into a Lions Den being around that type of organization, number one, being Pat Riley, right, and the demand that he has. Eric Spoelstra is very fiery, too.
Right.
Then all the way down to the players being Jimmy Butler, and, like, the way that he deals with things. They talked about the importance of, or he talked about the significant difference and the importance of being able to be him, right? He said, like, I here I can be me. Like, I can get on dudes. This is what I'm about. They're about that. This is why we get along so well. And I don't think Paul George has ever had a player that he's played with that kind of got into him like that and would demand that much of him. So it could be good, but I look at it as being bad, because I just don't believe that you can have such a character and personality change that fast. If your career has been, and you've been this type of person, and now you go to an organization that does believe that they could have won the championship last year, and now you come in on a team in which you know you underachieved, and you also didn't play well in them underachieving, I don't even think Jimmy Butler won them. Because I think Jimmy Butler is the type of person, I think he's that person who sees the same thing that we see. Like, yo, you got all the gifts, but you're not the guy, bro, when it matters. Like, when it comes down to it, you just don't got that. You feel me? So, what's your thought?
I'm going to take the opposite approach on this, because I think he needs that. I think he needs that fiery person next to him. I think he needs that fiery coach. I think he needs Pat Riley to really bring out the better in him. Like you said, he's got all the tools. I mean, the man's very gifted at this game, but so far in his career, he's never had that counterpart to really challenge him at all.
What about Russ, though?
I just don't think. I think that situation was, and like, I think they both knew going into that situation prior to the signing of Paul George, like, look, I ain't going to be here long, and you ain't going to be here long. Let's just do what we got to do to get out of here. That's how I felt about that situation. You know, my true opinion is I don't think he should have ever left Indiana. I think things would have played out better for him for his career. Brown left the East, right? He was the only person stopping Indiana really from getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, right? And Indiana really gave the Cavaliers some fits for a couple of years. It wasn't an easy out for the Cavs, you know? So I think he should have stayed. I get players want to play in bigger markets and things like that, but it is what it is.
You can't say that, because he went to Oklahoma City. So that's not a bigger market. That's true.
And again, I would like to see somebody really like pull like that, whatever it is, like, can they pull it out of him? You know, can you help this guy be that Premier, because we've already said like he's not the guy, he's the number 2 guy, right? And I think he's okay with being the number 2 guy, but there's also some responsibility with that.
Right.
And I want to see if somebody could pull that out of him to raise him to another level.
Here's the problem with your argument that you're saying right now, right? You're saying that a guy who's demonstrated none of those qualities will all of a sudden get that by being in this situation. And I just don't believe that he's ever shown that, that can even be pulled.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Better situation to show that you have that than in a bubble where you're up 3-1 and you have these games whereas every last one of those games you didn't perform in, and all your team needed for you to do was hit a couple shots.
Right. And look, we witnessed I'm having mental issues. I'm breaking down, whatever in the bubble.
Nah, he blamed it on the Charlemagne thing. He I got anxiety or whatever, and I'm
right.
That's real. I feel that that's real. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that man ain't experiencing that or that anxiety isn't real. But I just feel like that in and of itself is something that I wasn't brought up on those type of dudes who would admit that. Until after their career. Most people don't know what I was going through. I was having this, and then I gave motherfuckers. I did a Frank Turner. I did a Saeed. I gave them 24 and 11, even though I had this going on. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Not during the series while you in the playoffs. You what you think I'm gonna say defensively to you once you miss the first couple shots?
I mean,
come on, bro. So, you know what I mean? That's where I was just I gotta give pushback on that stance that you have, because Jimmy Butler ain't trying to hear that, bro.
This is what I'm saying. I want to see, right? I just want to see what he's made of, right? We already talk about when, she'd be like, we in the fire, or we in the lava. I want to see him thrown into the lava and see what he does. That's what I want to see. I want to see him put in a situation, I was listening to something you said a couple podcasts ago when we were talking about competing, right? And you brought up the whole Miami Heat, how, that's what they base on, how them dudes compete, and, watching them preseason, white versus red, going at each other, having guys like Pat Riley as the GM and Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler. I think when you have guys like that, the other players find out if they have those qualities as well. Can I hang? Can I sustain in this environment? And we saw that the players that they had, they could, because it was the reason why they were able to be so successful in the bubble, because them dudes compete.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Them dudes from top to bottom, whoever stepped on the court, they competed, right? Probably harder than a lot of teams, if not all, right?
Absolutely.
So I just want to see for a player like that, because I don't think he was challenged in Indiana, right? I don't think he was challenged in OKC. I don't think he's challenged in Los Angeles, because you got a guy like Kawhi who's quiet. I don't think Kawhi is going to be the one to check you. They're going to kind of let you do your thing. You figure it out, right? It was the same thing with the stories of Doc Rivers. He's trying to figure ways out. They had to step away from the game, and they were betting and things like that, instead of somebody say really getting in his ass, right? And that's all I want to see. I want to see how he would fare in that situation when you got a dog by you like Jimmy Butler that's not going to hold back his tongue, right? When you got a dog as a coach that ain't going to hold back his tongue. Now, let's see who you really are. Let's see are you really that guy? Or are you going to slip and fall down and become the third guy, or become the fourth guy, or this situation's not working out for me, So that's the stance, and that's the thing I want to see. And
go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I think if he were to figure it out and start to buy into that type of culture and accept what's coming his way, and to play for Miami, I think Miami would be really good. I think with his talent, right? Because we saw at times in the finals, look, Jimmy Butler was tired, bro. You know, you saw that
Yeah.
after he gave everything after that game, and he's leaning over to stop, like, and you know, he's got his head down because he ain't really had nothing else to give. And then it's like, who are you relying on? Rookie guys to help carry you that are talented. But if he had a player like a Paul George, you know, that's like, yo, bro, I can't, I'm tired. Like, get some buckets right now so I can focus on other things. You know what I mean? So I want to see. I would want to see. I would want to see that happen. You know?
Man, I'm gonna just say on that note, if you're looking for that kind of player, I think Giannis is that guy for that team.
Right.
Giannis becomes that guy that plugs that hole, and he runs like a damn gazelle, and he throw steps from half court and
off of one dribble.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think that is that level of physicality. And more so than anything, I think honestly how the Miami Heat play offensively would really work because they move the basketball from side to side very well. They do a lot of cutting. They do a lot of cutting to post. So it's not kind of like how Budenholzer has Giannis really playing a lot of ISO ball.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's easy to put that wall up and stop him from being able to penetrate. And there's really no other creative ways that they try to figure out getting him the basketball.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And I know that he has a lack of skill set, which does handicap what you can do offensively. But I think that you have to create multiple situations at which you could get on the basketball in different places to utilize those skills. And I don't see that as much in the Milwaukee system as I think, and I pretty much would anticipate to be in a Miami system. And I just think that Paul George, given those moments, I do believe when he was playing for Indiana, I thought at the time, like, yo, you got the potential to really overtake, you know, LeBron in the East, because he was really, you know, head up, like at one point, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, he was on the verge of becoming a superstar at that time.
Exactly. And I feel like you got a name and then you just kind of like,
right.
You know what I mean? And I don't know. And more so than anything is the playoff time. Like during the playoffs is where it just be like, yo, you don't be putting in work during the playoffs, but you got a name.
That's playoff P.
Yeah, that's way off.
As Shannon Sharp would say, playoff P with 2 E's.
Word up. But what else we got, man? Where we going next, man?
Just one more thing on the NBA, because I know how huge of a fan we both are of this player. Devin Booker wants out of Phoenix.
Oh,
he wants out. Where do you see him going to be an impact right away?
It doesn't matter. Whatever that man decides to dribble a basketball, he's going to be an impact. But sheesh, come to the East Coast, man. Come to the East Coast. Why don't you team up with KD and Kyrie and just get rid of Spencer Dinwiddie, get rid of Carlos.
Well, the Nuggets are looking at DeMar DeRozan.
I'm sorry?
The Nets are looking at DeMar DeRozan.
Ooh.
As a possible piece to bring in to play with Kyrie and Kevin, which I kind of like because I kind of think he fits in with them.
Yeah, and I don't think that I think that he could play in a system where he doesn't have to be the end-all be-all. Like he would be really effective because he's super athletic and he doesn't always need the basketball in terms of one-on-one to score like that. But I would just the reason why I say that is because I'm 15 minutes from Brooklyn and it would be nice to be able to go see
D-Book,
KD, D-Book, and Kyrie go work. Like who you guard that? Like what are you gonna do?
That's really unguardable. You got 3 guys that could create any shot they want at any given time.
To be honest, I think you should stay in the West, and I'm going to give you a team that I think that he would do really well, and I think that this could be a potential threat to the Lakers right away, and I think he could go to Dallas.
Ooh.
Him and Luka.
Ooh.
I mean, Luka busy.
They do lack that scorer that can get buckets. Like Luka could score, but not like I think that would be a great fit. They're actually on my top 3 teams list for him. Dallas was one of them. Like, I think he fits in good, especially when you got a guy that's willing to give up the basketball.
Right. That's what I'm
And
saying.
Luka.
It's triple doubles. It's not like he
Right.
just get buckets. Like,
Right.
he's willing to give the basketball up. And I
Right.
think that what we saw in the playoffs from Dallas was if they had that one more, because Luka presents such a mismatch and he's so freaking good. Like, he's just really good. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George had their hands full trying to guard him. And it's like,
Right.
okay, well, if he has a sidekick, that's not like KP, because I was never really a big fan of him. I know that he's talented, but he to me is like the prototypical European player. Like, you come in with all this hype, but when they get physical, you don't want none of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? He fits within that European stereotype where Luka is about that. Like, I'll take the physicality. I'll put myself under the free throw line and post you up and get buckets. I just think that if you put someone like Devin Booker, who you really can't ISO, and he can virtually do and score every way. He can post you up. He can play off the catch. He can, facilitate offense off the pick and roll. You know what I mean? He's a good passer. He understands and reads coverages. He can score several different ways. He can shoot off the dribble. He can shoot from depth. He's a great free throw shooter. He can finish in transition. It's like, I mean, that man is deadly.
Absolutely. So for me, like, Dallas was one of my picks.
Okay. Interested. What's the next one?
Don't say. And I have two East teams that I think he would do well on. If Giannis does re-sign, Milwaukee, right? I think that he's the player that stretches the floor out where you can't wall up anymore, right? Because if that does happen, D-Book is so good that go ahead and wall up on Giannis, because I'm good enough to carry this team from that point on, right? Like, we witnessed this dude get buckets, huh?
I can go get 70.
Yeah, I've done that already.
I know.
Game winners, whatever you want. So Giannis needs a player like that, because Chris Middleton ain't it.
Right. And that the whole thing is, if you give up Eric Bledsoe and you give up a couple pieces, I think it would help Chris Middleton, because I did see something from Chris Middleton. He's above average from just being a shooter. He's not a prolific scorer. Like, he can't do what Bradley Beal and D-Book can do from the rim. But I did see him hit some tough shots. And he does stay locked in. Like, he does continue to keep playing through things. Like, he's just not that guy. And that's okay. Because if you keep them and you got those three, I think, look, he's proven to be an all-star. And a lot of people keep on Chris Middleton. Like, they expect for this dude – I don't know what they expect from him, but what I see in him is I see a very solid shooting guard. Like,
no, absolutely, and his numbers went up from last year to this year.
Right.
But to me, on a championship team, he's not the number 2 guy.
Absolutely not.
But he'll, as the third guy, or you have your big 3. If D-Book were to go there, I think he fits in perfect.
Perfect.
What
are you going to do?
How he plays, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do.
Especially if you have Giannis in the paint, or you post him, like mid, like elbow area, you know what I mean? And you have, let's just say you got Chris Middleton at the top of the key or in the corner, and you got D-Book on the other side. Like, what are you going to do? You rotate your double team. You giving up a shooter on one of those sides.
On one of those sides, right.
You know what I mean? I just think that, that's a good. Once you said East teams, I'm like, that would be a good look for him. But go ahead.
I got one other. I got my last East team. Is the Sixers. I think the Sixers don't have that guy to get a bucket, and I would really like to see D-Book play for Doc Rivers.
I wouldn't mind it. I just think that D-Book is a killer, and I'm not sure that really meshes well, because I think that fucking, like, childish stuff that Joel be on, I don't think D-Book be with that. You know what I mean? Like,
but that's the thing. Excuse me. He might need. I think that will change now that Doc's there. I think you're going to see a change in Embiid, especially on how he approaches his body and mentality.
Fair enough.
And then with a guy like D-Book on the side that's reinforcing what the coach is saying and having the ability to be the player that he is, I think that's what the Sixers been lacking.
Right.
They had that with Jimmy Butler, but Jimmy just. I
He
mean,
not
come
the
on,
scorer.
man.
He not the scorer that Devin Booker is by far.
Nah. And at the same time, I tell people all the time, you got Miami on the table, you got Philadelphia on the table. Where are you going?
Yeah. No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where are you going? You know where I'm going. So
Yeah, I'm going
this is I would like to see, because I think any one of those teams that Devin Booker goes to become instant conference title contenders and also NBA title contenders. So
damn. Yeah, damn. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting, man. I didn't hear that. I didn't hear that come out that he wanted out. So that's
right.
dope. I
It would be dope. At the same time, let's not forget that they did go into the bubble and go 8-0, and just they should have made it in. Obviously, it didn't happen. And if what's the big man's name? DeAndre
Ayton.
Yeah, if he's healthy the whole year, then I think they do make the playoffs. But it's kind of like when you're at that level, like, you don't want to just make the playoffs.
Right.
You want to compete for an NBA championship.
Right.
That's what it comes down to. And he's cut from that cloth. I know, and you know that, God bless his soul, Kobe Bryant, that he idolized Kobe, and I even think they put work in together before his demise. So when you're cut from that cloth, winning or just making the playoffs isn't good enough for you. Right? You want to win championships. So just some teams that I thought that he would aid right away to help push them over that hump. So, but it'll be interesting to see come this season what moves are made and things.
Maybe that's his whole thing, though. Maybe he's throwing that out there so that Phoenix does go and try to get somebody or make a move on somebody. I mean, one person who is like, I'm sure that person is just like on vacation chilling, but their agent phone is going crazy. It's Bradley Beal. Like, I know he's chilling, and it's just
come on to the Lake Show, Brad Beal. Come on.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
come on,
man.
Come on.
I don't want him to. I don't want him to get one with Bron, man. I want him to get his own, man, because I think Bradley Beal's, and it's a thing with Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is very. I think he is a little bit more, like you said, cut from that cloth of Kobe and wanting to voice that, because I feel like he felt being an all-star, like, yo, like I've been an all-star.
Right.
You know what I mean, like, I just feel like he has that level of confidence and demeanor that it's like, oh, because this person got injured, I become an all-star. Like, yo, I'm better than – I be giving these dudes work, but my team is trash. So because my team is trash, you know what I mean, I'm not going to get that elevated ability, like notoriety, so to speak, as other players, because I haven't necessarily accomplished anything, but I have personally accomplished a whole lot in the league. You know what I mean? So I feel kind of like Bradley Beal is in that same boat where it's like, yo, these dudes are like stars. These dudes are like superstars. Like, they're, you know what I mean? And I just feel like I would like to see them create their own thing.
Right.
You know, as opposed to, but yeah, am I going to be mad? I'm a Laker fan. Am I going to be mad that Brad Beal comes? It's just sometimes I just want to see that in other players' careers, so to speak. Like, because you know what it's going to be. He wins a chip next year. Let's say we go back to back. It's going to be about his chip coming with Bron. And there's going to be an attachment with Bron. And Bron did this. And you know what I mean? And it's just like unfair to him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is. All right, what we got next? So,
Smoothie was rocking, by the way.
A new president is elected.
Good old Joe.
Joe. Good old Joe. Good old Joe. Good old Joe. Good old Joe. Biden.
This was a crazy year to have it have been an election year that is in 2020.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think
especially everything that's been going on, right?
Right. And I think the irony of it, like, is 2020 is supposed to mean that you have perfect vision, right? But I feel like we've got a very distorted view of everything. You know, as I watched this election unfold. And I'm not here to tell people that Democrat, Republican, whatever, that whole bureaucratic system and all that. I have my own thoughts and opinions on those things. I'm just saying, for me to just watch what I watched in the past couple days and watching the division between a whole continent virtually is like crazy to me, that we can really engage 300 million people in this process of electing these two people who are supposed to be the two most important people in that society, right? And it's like, you guys are completely split. The coats are blue. Everything else in the middle is red. Right. And it's like, how can we be that far apart from each other?
Right.
You know what I mean? And geographically, why is it that these parts and these segments are these things and one is not? And how do you perceive that?
I mean, I could tell you, just like you said, like watching this whole thing. I mean, even from like the last 4 years of what we've been through, like just the divide, you know what I mean? Like, we're supposed to be the United States, and we are far from that. It's, you know, like, excuse me. It's sad. It's crazy to watch.
Got that Rona?
Nah, bro. So yeah, man, like, and you just watch and you see so much hatred between these two parties, like, and it's like, yo, at the end of the day, right, as an American, as a citizen, don't we all want the same thing? Pretty much, like, just like, don't we want to live in peace and prosper and, you know, love and have those things? But yet, it's based on the opposite of that. Oh, I hate this guy. I hate you. I'm not voting for this guy. Like, you know what I mean? So the whole process to me is crazy. But at the same time, what? Go ahead.
How everybody has become a political analyst over this time.
Oh yeah,
poli-sci major now.
Right. And that's one thing that I stay away from in those type of conversations and argument. One, because I'm not one of those people that really study and know and hit you with the, you know, facts like that. Like, that's just not me. So I stay away from those type of conversations. I just know as a Black man, as a father, as a husband, like, I want what's best for my family and my kid. You know what I mean? So
for sure,
that's where I stem from on this whole thing, is just, I think we did need it. Not like, is Joe Biden the answer to everything that's going on? No. You know, to me, at any time, like, all politicians got dirt. They're crooked. They've done stuff that, you know, might not be moral, you know, but I think we did need a change, you know, especially when you have the head and the guy representing us as the president, you know, who doesn't want to denounce white supremacy and telling people to stand by. Like, that's just not right, you know? And when you are a Black American living in fear because, you know, the guy that's supposed to be protecting your country is putting you in situations, causing hatred and anger to come to the forefront in individuals who normally would be quiet. You know, that was the issue for me, you know, because I felt like during his term, normal people who wouldn't say anything felt like they had the right to say things just because, oh, he says it's okay. So yeah, now I can come out the closet from being racist. Now I'm gonna let you know. Now I'm gonna do things to you, you know, and, you know, hopefully that can change. No one man, no president's going to be able to do that. That's something that has to come from the people. That's something, you know, that has to come from us. That's not, one man's not going to say, hey, this is going to change, you know. But I do tell you, you know, let's hope, you know, they say that in this instance, character won, you know. The American people have spoken on that point. You know, we're tired of dealing with the negative. You know, let's get somebody in office who has, you know, a better character. Because Joe got his dirt too. You know, he's done some things in his past that, aren't like, oh yeah, he's the answer. But I just hope that could start to bring about change, you know. And also, his VP with Miss Harris. Like, I think, and especially being a girl dad, like that shows women and especially young girls, like having this conversation with my wife, like girls when they're younger, like you have that, what do you want to be when I grow up? Well, I want to be president. Like now that's something that could be a possibility for women,
Mm.
And her being, she's what is she? She's half Jamaican, half Indian. So she's, biracial, so
Not even getting into that with that woman, but
yeah, I'm looking at it from a broad standpoint. I'm not getting into I don't get into those details now like that. But just giving young women, young girls, something to look forward to. Like, well, if she's in this position,
she's certainly a model for empowerment and inspiring women and young women, young girls, little girls, like that. And that's funny that you say that. I never heard a girl when we was kids ever say they wanted to be a president.
Right.
And that'll be pretty interesting now that like Ellie will be able to say that.
Right. Well, there's a woman president. Maybe I could do that. Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I do. That is pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Right.
To be able to have that frame of reference and to have experienced that type of change.
Right. Right. But at the end of the day, until we the people, how that's in documents, until we decide to make change for ourselves and have those conversations that are needed, one man, one person ain't gonna change it.
Bingo. And that essentially is the wrap up for me. Just to piggyback and expound on that, yes, I do agree that, we've had this conversation. Shout out to Chris. Last night we was having this conversation about, just the mere fact that he was a necessary evil, so to speak, being DeAndre, to kind of give us a proverbial mirror of what our country really, what the there's a saying that's like, it's a tuxedo over dirty underwear, right? And I feel like what Donald Trump was able to do was reveal that dirty underwear, right?
Right.
Show us that this does, still exist, but it exists in its highest forms. Like it exists, this level of hatred towards people that aren't like-minded and aren't of this type of culture, so to speak, are inadequate, they're inferior, and what it really comes down to is like white men. Because that's the crazy thing is it's not even as it's just an advocacy for white people. It's an advocacy for white men and their dominance and that misogyny that he was able to expose to the American people, and to see that there are so many people that it resonates with, as a woman, period. I mean, for someone to feel as though they have a position of so much responsibility and what it is in terms of its nobleness to be the leader of the free world, right? And we can say whatever we want, but these are just some of the labels that are attached to that position, right?
Right.
Like for women to feel comfortable, voting for an individual who is forthright in his misogyny enough to say, in his male egotism enough to say, grab women by their crotch. You know what I'm saying? And then the countless times in different settings that women have asked him questions as reporters and him denounce them in so many different ways, just coming at them. It's like, yo, fam, if I'm her husband or I'm her brother or I'm her uncle or I'm her father, fam, if I was standing there, I'll be like, yo,
I don't care who you are.
Being a president, bro. At the end of the day, I'm a man. You disrespecting that woman. You know what I mean? It's like that's you violating. That's wild. You know what I mean? And and to someone like me to sit here and as a man, it's like I don't like men to do that to women, period. And I really don't like men to allow for a woman to make them act out of character in that regard. And I don't like for men to talk about women in certain kinds of ways. You feel me?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. as a woman, I can't understand how you would be in support of someone like that. So, I just find it weird what people decide to align themselves with and their reasoning for aligning themselves with things, right? Because it's like people talk about him being a businessman, but it's like part of being a businessman is his shrewd behavior. Right. So it's like, all right, so you get into a contract situation with Donald Trump, right? Because you talking that you want him because of business and how he's going to make things better for business, right? So if you know his history and how he deals in business, a lot of times he'll hire you to do a job and then not pay you. And because he has so much money, he'll take you to court and then let you litigate, and knowing that you don't have enough money, you know what I'm saying, to your lawyers for the actual suit. So you decide to settle. You know what I mean? And it's like, I still got my work done. I paid a fraction of the cost, and I won the case because you decided to settle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I stay rich. You know what I mean? And it's like, these are things that I just say like why don't people think about it? If the position is about the people, then you have to look at what that person does for the people.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't see anything that he's done for the people. I see certain people that he's looked out for, but those are still like Donald Trump don't care no more about poor white people than he does about poor black people.
Right.
He don't care no more about either one of y'all.
Right.
That's why he'll align himself with people who make money. You never see him out with people who are just regular people.
Right.
You know what I mean? You see him align with celebrities. You see him align with other, entrepreneurs and businessmen and CEOs.
With guys that are going to obviously vote for him because of the taxes that right.
You want to talk about, you for, the different, you're not for taxes or whatever, or you're for taxes or whatever. And it's like, yo, you understand that he has, not taxed these corporations off profits that they've made.
Right.
And many of these corporations are outsourcing jobs that could be American jobs for cheap labor somewhere else. So like, and what business are we talking about? You know what I mean? That you're in advocation for. So it's like, with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I think that what it is it's very similar to what Obama did. But I think that, this is a different situation for the American people, and particularly for Black American people, because we've experienced George W. Bush, and then we were so hell-bent on supporting Obama, first Black president, like he's going to change. That was his coined phrase, change. And then 8 years later, we're like, yo, he didn't do anything for us, right? And then we get Donald J. Trump, and then now these, Joe Biden and Miss Kamala Harris is coming in, and it's like there's another sense of hope that, I hope that y'all change.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just to add, not to cut you off, to add on that, that's been going on since the beginning of time when there's been a president. It's always going to be that way.
Right. So it's like, I just encourage people, in your support of whatever candidate you was in support of, just keep in mind, you still got to do for you. You still have the power to do things within your community. Even if you're not on no board or no councilman or whatever, there's things that you could do within your community, bro. If the people next door to you are trashy, then you need to call them out on that, because that does affect your neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, it's small things like that have nothing to really do with the president, but could mean everything to a community. If you have 7 houses on a block and 2 of those houses, people don't keep their house up. There's trash everywhere. They're doing stuff in your neighborhood that you don't, as neighborhood, as a community, you don't appreciate. Then those people need to know that, and they need to either understand that, like, yo, this is how we do things in this community. You know what I mean? And we're not saying, yo, because you're this or because you're that, or because you have these different cultural differences that you're not accepted, but there's certain things that you need to learn to treat, you know what I mean, with respect. And I think that creates change in and of itself. You know what I mean? When people are able to recognize that, yo, I don't eat the same things that Wayne eats, but, the man keeps a clean house. I see him work hard. I see he always keep on mode. You know what I mean? Like, there's never trash all over the place. That type of thing means a lot. Like, I can respect that he wants the same thing, because I know I take care of what I got. You know what I mean? And it's just those types of things that I think that would help in aiding this togetherness. bringing, the people together versus, the split in people. You know what I mean? And that can start it. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. And I agree, man. I think if we want real change, like it's not going to happen on the greater end, right? It's not going to happen at that level. It has to happen in communities and on the district level. You can get people in there for your community that are going to make change. That's when the small changes happen, start to create larger changes.
It's little stuff, man. It's like, yo, if there's been a youth program that's been cut in your town and you feel like, yo, I got a son, I got a daughter, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure these other people got sons and daughters that may want to have an opportunity to play basketball. So you know what? I'm going down to the town hall and I'm going to ask them how come this program was cut. And I'm going to talk to them about why. Because they may say simply, yo, we didn't have enough people to coach.
Right,
So
right.
We couldn't give, you know what I mean? We had this money and the state cut the money because we weren't really using it to facilitate.
Right.
You know what I mean? And just that conversation in and of itself could start back or restart the community of having these things offered. But don't people just automatically like, oh man, just throw their hands up. Like there's reasons and there's also holding people accountable for the positions that they in.
That's it.
You know what I mean? And you can do that. That's the power. The power is not in what, the president and vice president do as much as it is in your direct community. What is your mayor doing? What is, these people doing?
Yeah, your councilman, right.
You know what I mean? Like, look, they may be talking, your municipality may be like, yo, you may have an idea for a small business and your municipality may be like, yo, we have a space that we're looking for small businesses to, take this space within our city, but we don't have people coming down here to say it. So those spaces stay vacant. You know what I mean? It's like, it's small things like that it's like people don't want to have that dialogue to find out the reasons why the community isn't being provided the amenities or the different things that you may want. You feel what I'm saying? And if you're paying tax dollars to that community, then you damn sure got the right to find out what those answers are. You know what I mean? And hold people accountable for that because they are a representation of their direct community. And if your direct community is lazy, or if only these people who live on this side of the town come and follow up and find out and hold them accountable, you can't be mad that your side of the town don't get it because you're not representing your side of the town.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So
absolutely
like that, man. And it's like efforts need to be made more in those directions. People have ideas for how they can make their community better. Yo, hold those people accountable for making it happen for you.
Right.
You know
absolutely.
And that's where real change starts. And real change at the small level will influence that change at the larger level.
That's right. Couldn't agree more, bro. Could not agree more. All right, let's hop off this political talk.
Word.
We always do a segment called Players Points.
Word.
So today we want to talk about and give you guys some heat and some knowledge on taking care of your body.
Yes, sir.
Right. And taking care of your body as an athlete, particularly being a basketball player, preseason, in season, and postseason. Because you and I, we've played the game, we've coached the game, we've trained players, and you and I both know how important this is, and how many players don't do this, or how many players say, "Oh, I only work on my body in preseason," or whatever. So let's just break this down for the people listening, for the athletes, for whoever, and let's just talk about how important it is taking care of your body all the time.
Right.
Well, I'll start first, and just and I'll speak from a coach's standpoint. So for me, preseason is huge because it's the time you get to prepare for what you're going into, right? This is the time where you should be. Like, I'll have my players in the weight room 3-4 days a week, right? Mm-hmm. This is the time where we're really putting a lot of work in the weight room, getting strong. A lot of emphasis on conditioning at this time as well, getting your conditioning up. Because for me, preseason is that preparation before the lights come on, before you in the lava, before you in that fire, you know.
Yeah.
You know, this is a time where players can focus on, like, you know, and I'm not telling you to go out and put all these pounds on, but if you want to bulk up a little bit, you
Right.
know, this for me is the time when you might be doing a little bit heavier weightlifting, or, you know,
Fact.
um,
Fact.
this is the time where you are putting those days in 3, 4, 5 days a week to really build your strength,
Right.
right? In all aspects. A big part of that, and a component that I'm big on, is really focusing on core. Because your core is the center piece of your whole body. Everything comes back to your core. You know, I had a player say something to me, what was it, last week? We were doing some core exercises, and he like, man, this don't do nothing for my core. This hurting my hips. This hurting my hips. I'm like, what are your hips connected to? Yeah, coach, but we supposed to be doing core. Yeah, this is showing that your core is weak, right? Because it's showing you that you are deficient in this area, and this is why you can't do this movement, because you're weak in that specific core area. So for me, during this time, core is huge, right? Building that core strength. So again, when you do hit the season and your body is strong, it's in shape, your condition, you see less injuries, right? Especially earlier in the season, you know. And then we get to end season, and end season, you know, it's a little bit more less of you're not doing 4 or 5 days a week of lifting weights and doing things like that, but you have to maintain. It is important that you maintain. And this was something that I had to learn from a coaching standpoint, right? And I knew this as a player. The crazy part was, as a player, you and I both know, like, as much work that we put in, especially when we were in, you know, in the heart of our playing career, of working out every single day and putting that work in. And I knew that as a player, especially in season. But as a coach, it was something I struggled with, because it was time. Like, yo, I got to focus on, you know, plays. I got to focus on skill. I got to break this down. We got to do it. Where am I going to fit this time in? And then I tell you, like, when we got my first year having the ability to win a sectional and get to the game before the state final, I saw my team break down. I saw how tired we were. I saw, like, we weren't at our physical best, and maybe that would have changed the outcome.
It would.
We lost the game on a missed three-pointer, and the shot was short. There was no legs behind it, and I'm looking, and as I look back, I'm like, that's just fatigue. And I didn't do a good job of trying to maintain and keep you guys prepared for this moment, especially if you're a team that's going to compete and go long into the season, right?
Late into the season. Yeah.
Right. It's huge. You know, that's why you look at the NBA guys and you see them, they work out after games, right? Or before games. They're continuously putting that work in to maintain, because, you know, you're putting so much pressure and miles on your body that it's going to break down if you don't maintain it. You know, so it is very important, is that preseason build up to when you get to end season, you have to maintain, or you're going to lose everything that you put into. And then you're going to start to see later in the season, and, you know, you don't wish injuries on anybody, but you start to see little injuries. Coach, I pulled my hamstring. Coach, my groin. Coach, I'm a little banged up, and, you know, and the recovery takes longer because your body hasn't maintained.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man.
I mean, I agree with everything you said. Obviously, as a player, and now as a skilled trainer and trainer, these phases are extremely important. As you stated perfectly, like, preseason is where you should be focusing on trying to get your body to its PRs, like its personal records, right? Like, that's what you should be trying to push yourself to get to. And I'm not here to design your protocol for you, but you need to find out a protocol that can have you in the gym to meeting these goals, just so that you know what they are, right? Because you need to know, you know, where they are, so that you know how to maintain, right? So it's very important that you document these things. If your coach isn't documenting them for you or have forms for you to document them, then you should, download templates that will give you
Right.
that opportunity to go to the gym, put your workout in, but record your results from that workout. So number one of the things I think is extremely important with that is it clearly shows progress, right? So that in and of itself will motivate you to continue to do it. When
Right.
people look at working out, particularly people with my body frame, right? I'm a very thin, wiry guy, right? I'm not like, I don't bulk up, so to speak, when
Right.
I lift. So it's very hard sometimes if you're one of those people who need to see it from an aesthetic standpoint, right? Like, yo, I'm in the mirror. Yeah, I got big muscles or whatever. But the real progress and improvement is, let me look at your chart. Let me look at what you've done, right? Because
Right.
these increases in these areas, no matter how incrementally these increases are occurring, you are proving to have developed resistance and build strength, in these certain areas. And that is data that's there. That can't be denied. You feel me? So I think that will help you tremendously in terms of giving you and your body a GPS, right? To where you want to go. So during that preseason time, like you said, you want to, as a basketball player, you definitely need that cardio. But I would encourage you to create cardio that's more realistic to a simulation of what basketball is about, right? What I see and what I've learned over time, and with different friends of mine that are in this fitness industry, like I've bounced these questions off of them, and it's a training of your cardiopulmonary and cardiovascular system that's going to allow for you to be able to perform what's required of a basketball player. So how you train that system is going to obviously give you the best results in terms of your on-court performance, right? So if you're running cross country, that's not a replication of what it's like to play basketball, because you are actually hitting a speed and you're trying to maintain that speed. There isn't a fluctuation. So there isn't a stop or any of those types of things. So when you're working in your cardio and your conditioning phase of your training, it's best to replicate that as if it was a game. So I would go to a football field and I would work on, sprinting, 10 yards, then backpedaling 10 yards, then sprinting 20 yards, then backpedaling those 10 yards, then sprinting 10 yards, then backpedaling those 10 yards. So it's a more of a realistic replication of what it would be like to sprint down the court and sprint back, and utilizing that in a fashion in which you're getting that training your system to be able to perform the way it needs to when your sport puts its demand to it, right? So we want to train smarter, not necessarily harder, right? So we want to do our bodies good. So I feel like those are two areas that, are extremely important. Number one, writing your program protocol down, right? So that you can actually chart those results. And then number two, training your cardiovascular system to replicate what the sport is going to ask of you to do. So in your preseason, you should try to get to those things. Now, that will layer yourself right into your season. Now you want to reduce. So if you're on a 4-day split, 2-day split, where you're on 2 days, you're off, and then you're back on 2 days when you're lifting, when you go in season, I would say in maintenance portions, I would go back to like 2 days, and I would say those 2 days be a part of one becoming how can I say this? Like, you need to put in a lot of body weight stuff. You know what I mean? Just going to the weight room and bench pressing or squatting or whatever that is. Now, I'm not saying that you can't do that at parts of your in-season work, but I think it's very important that you maintain the strength through using, a lot of calisthenic stuff. And I'm particularly talking to my high school guys, because I definitely know, and high school girls, because I know that it's hard for your coach to put that in. I've been a high school coach, and it is very hard to implement an in-season training regimen that's really going to be designed for you to continue to maintain, because he may sporadically do it because he has the time to do it at that point in time. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, high school coaches are strapped with that, obviously,
not to cut you off, and as a high school coach, and I told you before, I had to learn this. And just to hit the point on the head, what you said, I've learned to incorporate that into practice, right? What with bands and doing things, body weight stuff, where it's like, okay, I can find a way to incorporate this into my practice, right? We don't have to take time. Oh, let's go to the field or let's go to the weight room. No, you can incorporate coaches. You can incorporate it into your practice,
Right.
And make it a part of what you do, so you don't have to take steps back
Right.
from your practice schedule.
Right. And if you don't have that information as a high school coach, because it is, a very important piece of information that you may not
Right.
have. Yo, use your athletic trainer, bro. Don't be too proud.
Right.
Just bounce these questions off, research things on YouTube, and then get their professional opinion about what it is that you're trying to do and how you can go about implementing that. Use your resources, There's no excuses. So now to continue from in season to postseason. Now, when you get to the postseason portion, I'm going to tell you, you shouldn't be really doing anything but corrective exercises for the most part, because now you've gone through your whole season, right? And since you've gone through your whole season, you may have gotten out of the season with nicks, some bruises. It's what happens, bro. You're going to sprain your ankle, things are going to wind up hurting you at the close of the season, especially if you played a long, grueling season. And this is high school, college. You know what I mean? It's just tough. It is what it is, right? So you need to give yourself time to rest, and then you need to really give yourself an opportunity to focus on correcting some of those areas, right? So now we reflect. We take what we did in the preseason, we take what we did during the season to maintain, and then we basically create a SWOT analysis. We look at what our strengths are. Yo, I was really strong at this, this, and this, and I know that this helped me to be able to perform this way, right? But here's where I'm weak, and I see that me being weak here is what prohibited me from being able to, perform at this level or at this time, right? And you take that data, and now you create a program that's designed to correctively start to attack those areas, but you're not trying to put as much load on yourself. This ain't preseason. This is preseason, bro. You're not trying to kill yourself, because you can't maintain an optimal level for the whole year out of 12 months. There's no way that you're going to do it.
You're going to break down. You're going to break down,
bro. And at this day and age, how much you players are bigger, faster, and stronger, your injury is also more bigger, right? It's more catastrophic. We're talking about tears in the ACL. We're talking about possible Achilles tears. And that's just an overuse injury for the most part. So it's not so bad, bro, that you're not playing AAU every single weekend. All right. You don't need to do that. I get it. People want exposure. You want to be seen, but you also need to always keep in mind your best ability is availability. And if you're hurt or you have a catastrophic or significant injury, that's going to set you further back than you sitting out of a tournament because you just want to rest, bro. You know what I mean? So the postseason is really important to take the time to focus on corrective exercises, making sure that the neutral spine is back into its alignment correctly, making sure that you're starting to engage your lumbo, hip, pelvic complex, getting your body to fire properly, making sure that things are aligned so that they can be utilized properly. Remember, your body is a system, right? And you don't you don't want kinks in that system, because with kinks in that system, then the machine has to operate differently in order to try to perform. And that's not an optimal way that your body wants to work. So it's going to lead to serious dysfunction over time, right? So we're just trying to give you some of that information, because I feel it's extremely important that players, while they want to advocate for their game, they want to work on the skill, they want to work on becoming better. I'm getting this trainer, I want to do these drills. You should have that same attitude towards your body, because your body is your temple. That is your moneymaker. You know what I'm saying? So you should want to invest just as much time into making sure your body is right, so that you can really go out there and perform the skills that you've been working on at a high level. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the one thing that has to maintain throughout all the different parts, preseason, in-season, and postseason, is coaches, players, please make sure you guys are stretching. Please.
Oh my gosh.
Please.
That's pre and post. That's pre and post. I don't care what workout you're doing. You need to be stretching pre, and you need to be stretching post, and you need to make sure that you really are stretching.
Right. And especially for you high school coaches that are dealing with players, especially younger players that are going through growth spurts
Right.
and certain things might be hurting in their body. Like, you have to stretch. You know, it's something that I've been really big on over the past couple of years with my players. Like, you have to stretch. Like, and listen, again, if you don't know what stretches or what to do, reach out. You can YouTube, you can Google, and then utilize your athletic trainer.
Right.
Listen, I had to take time out 2 years ago to actually show my kids how to stretch, because most kids don't know how to stretch.
Mhm.
You know, so take that time out. It will help you in the long run.
And I think one of the things that you might even have brought up another topic, and we could expand on it in another pod. But I think one of the things that you really kind of illustrated was the importance, or I think what you highlighted is, especially for young coaches, you get into, especially at the high school level, you get in thinking it's all about basketball, and that's what you're over consumed with, running the plays the right way and playing defense and knowing how to play defense and knowing our defensive plays, that you forget to focus on the importance of the thing as a whole. So like,
Right.
instead of worrying so much about basketball, why don't we take pieces of the areas that we need to focus on each day, and we can build, because we have a season. Right? It can't get all caught in 2 days, 3 days, whatever. And sometimes what I've learned in coaching is, you know what? Let's just keep it even that much more simple. Like, they can't do that. So I'm not going to keep banging my head with that, because it's taking too much time, right? And we could be using that time more efficiently and effectively, you know, within our practice plan. So maybe if you have 14 things you want to do in practice, maybe that group can't handle 14. You're going to have to take it down to 7 and say, let's focus on these 7 things today while we do our normal routine of stretching, you know, our conditioning portion of what we're doing, you know, and I'm talking about obviously in season, when you talked about using that time in practice to work on your conditioning and work on maintaining your body. Yeah. Like, that should be a part of your practice plan and broken down. So you're not trying to teach 14 different things. These kids can't do it. Right? They don't have the attention span for it. And sometimes they just don't have understanding to be able to execute those 14 things. So let's keep it more concise. And I'm talking about learning your group. I'm talking about learning your kids. I'm not talking about for everybody. I'm talking about for those people who find it very hard because they got a whole lot that they need to teach their kids. It's like they can't process all of that. So why don't we give them bits and pieces, and over time, we've been more efficient with our practice time. We've hit all the areas that we need to hit for improvement. You know what I'm saying? In terms of our maintenance of our body and our stretching, and we've gotten to the basketball concept, and I got to be effective within that time to teach those 7 things. You know what I mean?
Right. Great points, bro. Great points, you know. And as we continue with this pod, man, we will be blessing y'all with as many players' points. And it's not just for players, it's for coaches, it's for anybody willing to learn the information that we have. And we're just trying to aid y'all, man, into being the best that you can be.
Word.
With our new segment now, you know, we have the stories from the 6.
You heard. Yes, sir.
Running through the 6 with my whoa. I'll go ahead and start this one off, man. This one's kind of a funny story. I remember when I was like 13, 14, man, you know, being a young kid in Atlantic City, especially growing up on the West Side, I used to always go to West Side Complex to play. You know, Martin Luther King School. Had the outdoor courts. And to be honest with you, like, for the earlier part of my years, like, that was the only basketball courts that I had available. I mean, you know, we had the crate up on the pole, but we out there playing on an 8-foot crate with a small basketball, you know, like. So I was like 14, I think, and going to the courts to play, and I was playing with some older dudes. They were about 18, 19, whatever. So I'm balling. We out there playing 21, and I'm balling, and I'm talking my shit. Like, yeah, I'm nice. I'm a young boy. I'm out here balling, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm continuously talking to this one dude, talking trash to him. And I mean, I know him. He knows me. So I hit this shot in his face for game, and I let him know it's for game, right? Dude turned around, hit me in my jaw. Bow. I'm I'm 14 and I got braces. So
automatic blood gusher status, dog.
gusher, right? He popped my braces, all that, like, you know, and instantly I'm like, my jaw messed up. And like my boy Amir with me. Shout out my boy Amir. He with me. He like, yo, nah, we got scrap. So I'm like, man, like we gotta fight some older dudes. So, you know, getting ready to scrap, like you just hit me in my jaw, like, nah, like that's not going down. Like it ended up breaking up and everybody leave the court. And I'm walking back with my boy Amir back to my grandfather's house because that's where I was at for the day. And I'm holding my jaw like this or whatever. And it just so happened when I get to the crib, my grandma at the door. What's wrong with you? What's wrong? What happened? What happened? I'm just like, nah, some kid hit me, whatever. And, grandma, she making a bigger thing than it was, So my grandfather come out, nah, who hit you? What happened? So I tell him the boy's name, whatever. He like, oh, I know his grandfather. We grew up together. Let's go right now. I'm like, where are we going? He like, nah, we're gonna go settle this right now. So he take me and we walk around the corner. Mind you, I'm still holding my jaw like this. We walk around the corner. My grandfather knock on the door. I forget the guy's name or whatever. He like, hey George, what's up? He like, blah blah blah. He like, yo, your grandson just he snuck my grandson. Like, we gotta get to the bottom of this right now. So he calls grandson down, and here we are, face-to-face confrontation. I'm like, like, is my grandfather gonna make me fight him right here and right now? Like, you know how old school is. Like, y'all gonna settle this right now.
Go in the grass. Word.
Right. And like, I don't know, like just because they knew each other and they was cool, like everything was able to get squashed, and the kid was just like, nah, I ain't really mean to do that. I was just going through whatever I was going through, whatever. And, they, as old heads, they start talking about other stuff. Meanwhile, we just sit in this dude's house after this dude just hit me, and these two is reminiscing over back in the day and having conversation and having a good old time. And I'm just like, yo, Papa, like he just snuck me. My jaw swollen at this time. I'm still like got a little blood, braces, brackets popped off, like, So I mean, that was just a funny situation, growing up as a young kid in Atlantic City. And shout out to my grandfather, man, who is 90 years old, still doing this thing. And it's just funny, with connections and Atlantic City being a small place that you're like, oh, no, yeah, I know his grandfather. We going over right now. We're going to sell this right now. And we get there, and it obviously got squashed, but
he got duffed.
Yeah, I got duffed, bro. Got wow, my joint. Oh, man, like, but yeah, man, that's my story from the 6.
Word. So mine is so you remember we used to play up in Canada for the Can-Am games, right? So we used to go.
Yo, crazy thing. I was just talking about that the other day, but go ahead.
So we playing in the we drive up to Canada or whatever. We playing in the Can-Am game. It's funny, yo. We was playing some team from Canada, and the first team we played, we smacked them, right? Second team we played, it was like pretty good game, but we beat them by like 3 possessions. I think we probably beat them by like 9, something like that, right? So then this the 4th game, bro, before we go to the chip or whatever, this the next day. Our first game we playing, yo. I don't know why, but yo, they was kicking our ass, bro. Backdooring us, like nobody could stay in front of anybody. It was like, yo, you would have thought like, bro, we playing like the Bulls. Like we was just like getting our ass kicked, whatever, boom. So coach called timeout. Call us all over there. He going in crazy, whatever, right? So J.O., we break the huddle, boom, we go back on the court, whatever, right? So I don't know what he did. I think he turned the ball over. I want to say he turned it over, but I just remember I'm walking up the court, you know what I mean? So now the ball going the other, they taking the ball out and walking up the court the other way. So I see him take the sub, right? Boom. So it was Coach Sean, matter of fact. He like, yo, get him out of the game, right? So boom, he get him out of the game. I'm walking up the court on the other side, coming towards our bench, right? But I'm on what would be the left wing. So I'm looking at the bench. I'm looking at him, yo. This dude come off the court. He said something to coach. So he said, take it off. So he took his jersey off, threw the jersey, right? So, yo, the funniest part about this shit, bro, was he didn't think he was going to throw that shit, bro. So he had his hands down. So the shit wrapped around his Yo, that shit was perfect, bro. Because the part that you put over your shoulders, that shit wrapped around his head. So he's like, jersey or whatever. So everybody on the bench, they trying not to laugh, bro.
Yeah, I would have lost it.
Dying, bro. Dying. I'm like, yo, my man, wow.
Oh, man.
So much so the two kids that was guarding, coming down, they was laughing. Like, yo, boy, wild out, man. Shout out to J.O., man. He's a wild.
That's funny,
bro.
That's funny.
That's
funny,
man. Yo, it was
stories from the 6, man. That is funny.
I was like, we was like 15 years old.
I like, as a coach, what do you do?
Yo, I
don't know. Like,
man, I might have to see you for that. You gonna throw a sweaty jersey on me, bro?
I know he was tight, bro.
Look at the level of disrespect, bro. And
Right.
Oh, right. God. It's
that's funny, man.
Whew.
That's funny, man. Man. Shout out J.O. for that one, man.
Man, that was a good pod, man. Good pod again.
Another great pod, man.
Word up.
Again, I just want to give a shout out to all the people that have been showing their support over the last couple of weeks, with us dropping episodes and people showing us love. And
make sure you follow that, man. Instagram at the Hoop Chat, man. 247, man. Make sure y'all follow that. Make sure also on the YouTube that y'all subscribe, man.
Let me put that up for y'all so y'all could go follow, Go ahead and follow us at the Hoop Chat, like you said, 247. Go look us up on IG and just hit that follow as we try to grow our community. And then hit us up on YouTube, man. Just type in the Hoop Chat and hit that subscribe button. We are going to continue to provide you guys with information and knowledge and anything in the hoop culture, anything that we can do just to keep the culture moving forward, man. That's what we do.
Also, if you want to be a guest, because there's people who hit me up like, yo, I want to be a guest on the podcast or whatever, make sure you DM all requests to be on there. If you want to be a guest, make sure you DM at the Hoop Chat 247, man. Or you can hit me at Mars Basketball, but we really would like to hear and see the people who want to be a guest on the show. We are going to open it up to having guests on the show. So yeah, feel free to make sure you DM the Hoop Chat 247 and tell us why you want to be a guest on the show. You know what I mean? Right. And we'll see if we can make that happen, because we want to be able to bring people and show you our resources and some of the people who we respect the most. Right. You know what I mean? And have their opinion as well. So,
and also too, if you guys have any ideas that you would like us, any topics that you would like us to touch on, talk about, again, hit us, DM us to the Hoop Chat, and we will do our best to bring you things that you guys want to hear too.
Word. Make sure, man, y'all need to make sure y'all can get on this merch, man.
I was just about to do that for you, bro. Go hit my man up, man. Go check out the merch my boy got.
Yeah, man. Y'all need to shout me out. Just take a look. If you see something that you like, take a picture of it, repost it on your IG. Also, these pens are out as well. So, I don't know if you can see that. You know what I mean? So,
go ahead, show them the pen. Show them the pen again.
Yeah, if you want to, DM me, you know what I mean? Get one of these pens. And just, I appreciate the support, man. You know what I mean? You want one of these shirts, make sure you log on. MarsBball.com.
It's also hoodie season. He got some hoodies on there, man.
Hoodies out there.
Sweats.
Yeah, man. So just appreciate, you know what I mean, the feedback, whatever it is. You don't necessarily got to buy some. I want you to buy some, but I appreciate all forms of support, man, and I recognize it and appreciate you for it.
Right. And as always, you know my motto, man. Whatever the next person wants to do, just inspire them to be great. Help push the culture forward.
Yes, sir.
Peace.
We want to welcome everybody to the Hoop Chat. The Hoop Chat. I'm excited about this topic right here, dog. Let's go.
I learned how to win in college.
Process, right?
Absolutely. Separate the men from the boys. It will separate the real from the fake. It will separate the committed from the uncommitted, who really loves the game and who really don't.
Your network equals your net worth. 25 years of experience.
Like, oh, man, yeah, let's get to work. Let's get to work.